Hello everybody, welcome to the end of season table review. Now you can see my face this time. Hello, welcome. So if you remember at the start of the season, I predicted the table, how I thought it was going to finish. I'm back reacting to this. I'm going to say some teams, what I can see, some teams did surprise me. Some teams didn't so much. Some teams had a roller coaster, some teams didn't. We're going to kick things off with the team that finished, I predicted to finish in 20th, Brighton. Now, we all know Brighton actually finished in 16th, which was, I think, was a fantastic achievement for them, but they were flirting with relegation for the whole season. And I feel it really is a good season for Brighton. I think Brighton fans should be very happy with how this season has finished. You know, they've got a good position. You know, they did fantastic signings with Danny Welbeck, Adam Lallana at the start. They were fantastic signings, and they implemented those signings so very well. And I think they're going to do very well in the Premier League next season, although I still think they're going to finish 17th, 18th next season. I'm just going to stop predicting them to go down 20th. You know, I think those days are over. They are a very, very good side. They are a side that deserves to stay in the Premier League. They're a side that, you know, with the correct signings next season, could finish 12th, maybe 11th, if they do the correct signings. You know, they can bring around so many good days as long as they perform everything fantastically. You know, I think it's been a season of ups and downs of Brighton. You know, it's gonna be fantastic to see them in the Premier League next season, and I think they're gonna do fantastically next season. As long as they keep Graham Potter, as long as they keep the correct signings, they can definitely survive next season, in my opinion. So moving on to the team I predicted in 19th, which was Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa had a very, very good season. I don't know why I said they would go down. You know, I think after the narrow survival last season, you know, on the last day finishing 17th, I think that's why I predicted them to go down, but it's been a very good season. You know, finished 11th, which was up 8 places. I definitely think that they could possibly battle for Europe next season, like they were for the majority of this season. They were definitely trying to push for Europe this season. You know, they were 8th, 7th, 6th, 1 point. You know, quite a few of these teams had loads of chances for Europe this season, and yet failed. But Aston Villa, I think, you know, they're going to become a very strong Premier League side from now on. You know, I don't see them going down for a while. As long as they've got Grealish in the side, I think they're going to be fine. You know, their squad this season was fantastic. You know, they implemented that squad very well. They did everything that they needed for that squad very well. And I think that's why they survived so comfortably away from the relegation zone. You know, but the main problem is fighting off interest in Jack Grealish. As long as they can keep Grealish, I think they will be very, very good next season. You know, I think they can survive very comfortably next season as long as they keep Grealish. If they sell Grealish, I think it's going to be very difficult for them next season. You know, I don't think Grealish will be able to keep, say, Aston Villa for long. You know, loads and loads of clubs are interested in them. Moving on to the team I predicted in 18th, and I'm happy to say I got one relegated team right, which was West Brom. I predicted West Brom to finish 18th. They finished 19th. You know, I just didn't see West Brom surviving. You know, I think at the start of the season, going into the season, West Brom's squad just wasn't strong enough. You know, it wasn't clean enough for Premier League, and I think I was just being so generous giving them 18th. You know, I think 18th was generous prediction. You know, I just, don't get me wrong, they had some beautiful times throughout the season. You know, beating Chelsea 5-2, which was Tuchel's first loss. I think that was a beautiful game. But I think Sam Allardyce, when he stepped into the managerial role, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to take this team to glory. I'm going to take this team back to survival." And he just had such big ego. He couldn't do it. I couldn't see West Brom surviving, even with Allardyce taking charge. I thought maybe 18th, but I don't see him surviving. You know, I think Allardyce is a beautiful, good manager, but getting relegated for the first time in his career, it's not nice for him. I definitely don't think stepping away from managing West Brom after you got relegated was the right thing to do. I think you should have stayed with them for at least the first half of next season. to allow them to adapt to the Championship, get yourself adapting to the Championship, then leave instead of departing straight away. But I think West Brom had a beautiful season, and I think next season West Brom will be in the playoffs. I reckon West Brom will battle in the playoffs but won't come up. I think they'll be down in the Championship for a little bit. So the team I predicted in 17th this at the start of the season was Fulham. Now there's another side that went down. I don't know why I said Fulham in 17th. I just thought because they looked very clean going into the season. Coming into the season, they looked very strong, very powerful. But I just don't think it was a good season overall for them. It was a difficult season. I can't think of any memorable wins for them. But it was a beautiful, good season, and to go down in 18th is harsh. They went down with a couple of games to spare. I just don't think Scott Parker had. I think it's Scott Parker. I can't remember. I just don't think that he had the capability to keep the team up. Looking at mid-season when they were flirting a bit with the relegation, I think it was pretty difficult for them. So I think Fulham are going to be the team that are going to interest me next season. I think they will be very interesting in the Championship next season, and I think they could come straight back up, if not play in the playoffs with West Brom. But I definitely don't think they will be finishing outside the playoffs next season in the Championship. Now, next up, the team I predicted in 16th is a biggie. No, it's the team that did one of the best teams this season, West Ham. I think West Ham were fantastic this season. 6th place, Europa League. Although I'm going to put this out, I don't know if West Ham are going to do well in the Europa League. I mean, they might surprise everyone and do really well in the Europa League. They might not, but I just don't think the squad is ready. They've got very good players at the squad, and I think that the squad will definitely do very well to make sure that they can do well in the Europa League. But if they do, it's going to be the main question. I don't know if West Ham are going to do well or not. It's going to be interesting to see West Ham in the Europa League next season, and see how well they adapt to the Premier League and Thursday night football in the Premier League. Within the Premier League, how will that impact the squad? I think David Moyes needs to do some fantastic signings next season if he wants to allow West Ham to adapt to the Europe as well as surviving in the Premier League. 'Cause I think if he doesn't do that, West Ham are looking at 10th or 11th next season. It's going to be interesting for West Ham next season. Now, next up was a team I got very close to predicting correct. Crystal Palace. I predicted them 15th, they finished 14th. And I think it was a very good season for Crystal Palace. It's commiserations to Roy Hodgson, well done, and good luck in the future. But I think Palace are losing a lot of players now. With the end of contracts, everything, they're going to lose a lot of players, and I think that's going to impact them next season. But this season they survived. They did pretty well surviving. They did get pulled into a bit of a relegation scrap, but they sort of drifted themselves away from it and they sort of survived that. And I think it's very good for Crystal Palace. They did very well to get to where they did. But if they survive next season, I'm going to be very impressed, because they're losing a lot of players with contracts running out this summer. Hodgson's contract was running out. We've got a load of players whose contracts are running out this summer, and it's going to be intense signings for Crystal Palace to survive. I can't really say any more about Crystal Palace, because not really much I can say apart from that. They had some upsetting losses throughout the season. 7-0 to Liverpool towards the start to mid-season. Apart from that, I think it is what it is. Next up is a team that did very well at the start of the season, but sort of drifted off towards the end. It's Southampton. Now, we all remember when Southampton were topping the table and a second table, and they sort of just drifted away a bit, finishing 15th. I predicted 14th, which I think was very good. I'm very impressed I predicted 14th. You know, I think Southampton fans, I was not being generous there. You deserved 14th, maybe 13th. But yeah, you did fantastic this season. You know, all your players did fantastic. It's just you needed to keep that. The momentum didn't keep going. And I think you could definitely do it again next season. I think you can definitely survive again next season. You know, survival is not out of your hands next season. You can definitely 100% survive next season. I think your squad is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's full of youth, like our squad. And getting to the top of the table is going to be fantastic for you. You know, if you can get like 10th or 11th next season, which I think you could. It's not outrageous. Maybe 12th. You know, it's going to be very good for you. I think the Saints are going to do very, very well. Next up, the team I predicted in 13th was Leeds. Now, Leeds did very, very surprisingly this season. I'm actually kind of surprised by Leeds finishing 9th this season. Well, what do I say about Leeds? You know, they had a good season. You know, on and off at times, but yeah, I think it was a very, very good season for Leeds. You know, I think they're definitely going to do very well again next season. You know, they were battling for Europe at points. I definitely think they can go forward and push, as long as they didn't do what Sheffield United did. You know, Sheffield United finished 9th last season, and we'll get on to them in a bit. But I definitely think that Leeds are going to do fantastically in the Premier League now they're back. You know, when they came back, it was beautiful, it was clean, and they did so well to survive. You know, I think they survived like 10, 11 games to spare, maybe even more. And it's going to be a decent season next season for Leeds. I can predict it. It's just, will they be able to adapt to the pressure that's going to be on them to push forward and get into Europe? That's going to be the question. Next up is my only correct prediction of the whole entire table, Newcastle. I don't know how. I just predicted Newcastle 12th and they got 12th. You know, it was a fantastic prediction. And it's you know, I think they were relying on Callum Wilson at points, but I think Callum Wilson, Joe Wellington, I don't didn't do too much this season, and I think Saint-Maximin did really well. I think those two Callum Wilson and Joe Wellington, Callum Wilson and Saint-Maximin, they did fantastically together this season, and I think if Newcastle are going to survive like they did this season and go further, those two need to keep powering up and keep, you know, doing correct things with each other. I think they can do it. I definitely don't think survival again next season's out of reach for Newcastle. You know, at points they were looking to go down, but they sort of steered away from that, and they sort of did pretty well. I'm happy with Newcastle. Now, the biggie. Sheffield United, I predicted 11th, and they went straight down 20th. What went wrong for these boys? Well, I just think what went wrong was they relied too much on Dean Henderson last season and the season before. You know, Dean Henderson was their star stopper and everything. It was their star player, and you know, he went back to Manchester United and they had nobody to turn to. So they just brought in Aaron Ramsdale, and he just did not perform the same. You know, it's an upsetting season for Sheffield United fans, and I admit that. And I think you're going to finish mid-table to maybe 7th max next season in the Championship. You know, I don't think you're going to come straight back up. I think it's going to take some time for you to come back up. You know, your Premier League return is distant. You had a good 2 seasons though. You know, last season you finished 9th, and this season you finished. Admittedly, you finished Brom, embarrassingly, but I think it's going to be a decent season for you next season. You know, you're going to bring in players, and you're going to try and push for promotion. You know, you're going to be one of the greatest and most brightest teams in the Championship next season. I think you're going to do really well, although I don't think you're going to come back. Next up, the team I predicted to finish dead to mid-table, but kind of bowled it, with Burnley. Where did it go wrong for Burnley? Last season they were fantastic. I predicted this season for them to be fantastic, and they just weren't. There's nothing really more I can say. This season they just weren't themselves. I can't really think of words to say to describe how Burnley's season went. It was an upsetting season, and it was, I think, a season to forget for Burnley. I think next season they're going to try and drift away from that relegation scrap fight, but they may get pulled into it. I just sorry. I just think they're gonna. I think they're gonna get drawn into a relegation scrap fight. I just think it's the way it's gonna be. It's not a good season. It wasn't a good season for Burnley. I think it's gonna be a season to forget. They just need to bring in the players that are really, really gonna help them survive. Now, team I predicted finished in 9th, that actually finished 10th, was Everton. Now, Everton very, very nearly finished 9th, and that would have been 2 great results. But as it happened, they went down and finished 10th. Good mid-table position for Everton. I think they can definitely turn things around and head up to that top of the table mark. Carlos Ancelotti, or how we say his name, he's going to be fantastic for them next season. He's going to learn to visually and mentally adapt Everton now to keep pushing for football and not push and then drop off. They were pushing and then they just slipped. It was similar with Southampton. They were both pushing and then they both just slipped. Southampton obviously slipped worse, but Everton slipped. And I think that's all I can really say about Everton. James Rodriguez was a beautiful signing. He did fantastically. He's going to need to do fantastically again if he's going to keep them going next season. But admittedly, Everton, you really caught my eye this season. I think Everton did fantastically. A lot of teams caught my eye this season. So, next up, the team I predicted in 8th, which actually I think should have finished 8th, but just weren't prepared, was Wolves. I think Wolves went into this season unprepared and everything, and that's why they finished 13th. They had Europe. I predicted them to finish 8th, just outside of Europe. But, I was hoping that Wolves would prove me wrong. They proved me wrong in a bad way. They really, really slipped. And admittedly, there's nothing more we can do about it. Wolves. I think Nuno, if he's going to remain at the club, he's going to need to redrive Wolves back up the table and not keep them 13th. He managed to prove us wrong getting 7th twice. He can do it again, surely. He can prove us again. He's going to have to train his squad to think mentally, look, we've just been promoted. We're going to want to push. He needs to train his squad mentally to think like that. And if he does that, he's going to do really, really well next season. But if he doesn't, Wolves could get pulled into a scrap fight for relegation. I don't want them to. I have more to a beautiful squad, and I want them to stay in the Premier League. But will they be able to adapt and stay in the Premier League? Is the real question. Next up, the team I predicted in 7th, Arsenal. Now, Arsenal fans, take a minute, just spam all you want in the comments, but you were terrible this season. You were utterly terrible this season. Spam the comments all you want, but you just weren't the squad that you were seasons back. You weren't the Arsene Wenger squad. You are Mikel Arteta's squad, and Mikel Arteta is not Arsene Wenger. That's all I'm going to say. For the first time in 25 years, you've got no Europe, and I don't think you're going to get Europe for a while. Arsenal, I do not consider a Big Six club anymore. They are not a Big Six club anymore. I wouldn't even consider our next team to be a Big Six club anymore. I think the Big Six have definitely changed because of this season. It's just, I really think Arsenal, they've got all these big name players. I think they're all going to leave now. I think all these big name players like Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Maitland-Niles, Willock, all these names, they're going to want to leave because you're not going to really bang in Europe. they're going to go to other clubs that are in Europe, like West Ham, or other clubs that we're going to see in the top 5, top 4, top 6, top 7. They're going to go to them, and you're going to be very effective. You're going to need to use that money to bring in other big name players or adapting, coming up players that will help you in the future push for Europe. Because as it stands, you're not going to be in Europe for a few seasons, and it's going to be difficult to see if you can get back there. So 6th place is I predicted Tottenham, but they finished 7th. They're going to be the first ever Europa Conference team winners. I can tell you that, guys. Now, I can see Tottenham winning the Europa Conference. Now, the Europa Conference is a brand new league. It's going to be interesting, and I hope that Tottenham can push for Champions League next season. But admittedly, I don't think they will. I think they're going to be 6th, 7th again next season. Tottenham, as I said with Arsenal, I don't consider them a big 6 club anymore. They're just not taking home the silver. Other clubs are taking home trophies. Leicester have taken home a trophy this season, and Tottenham haven't. Leicester have gone hardly any time without Tottenham, and yet they managed to come with a trophy quicker. Because I think Leicester have got a beautiful squad. Tottenham's squad is going to be very, very weak now they're losing Harry Kane. I reckon Dele Alli is going to want to leave. I reckon a lot of names are going to leave. And if they do manage to get Gareth Bale back and sign him back, is he really going to help him? I don't think so. And that's what I really say about Tottenham. It's all I can really say. Now, the team I predicted to finish in 5th was Manchester United. They survived. At least they went up to Champions League. I didn't think Manchester United would be able to keep up a push, keep up a Champions League. It's the first time they've qualified back-to-back Champions League season since what's his name? Their big name manager, Fergie. Sorry, Ferguson. That's the one. And it's Bruno Fernandes. I think that the reason they got goals was Bruno Fernandes doing penalties. I think that was their main reason. Spam the comments, Manchester United fans. I don't care. It's penalties that kept you up into the Champions League. You did have some good goals. You did have some good games. But admittedly, are you really going to get survive the Champions League like you did last season? This season, sorry. This season, you won the Champions League, you bowled it and went straight back over to the Europa League. And yet you're in the Europa League final. I don't think you're going to win it. I think Villarreal will win the Europa League. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Manchester United next season. If they survive, if they don't. We're going to find out. So the team I predicted in 4th, I feel so bad predicting this team in 4th, Manchester City, who are surprise champions. In my eyes, they're surprise champions, but they were very, very good this season. Now they're losing Aguero. I think it's going to affect them a bit. They're going to look to Gabriel Jesus to try and replicate Aguero, but they might bring in another big name signing, like they are rumoured to be trying to bring in Mbappe. Haaland, if they bring in those big name stars, they can definitely go ahead and go back to back again. And I don't really think there's much to say about Manchester City. It's been a good season, good long season for them. You needed the quadruple. I say nearly, because the most you can do now is a double. And I don't even think you're going to do the double. I think Chelsea will win the Champions League. I hope Chelsea win the Champions League. You nearly did the double. You win. Oh, you did do the double. Sorry, yeah, you were trying to do the triple because you're the Carabao Cup and you're the Premier League. You going to try and do the triple. But I don't think you are. I think Chelsea are going to look at the stronger squad in this. Well, Leicester, I said, to finish in 3rd, and once again they bottled it and went back to the Europa League. I don't get what's going on with Leicester. They were in Europa. They were in the Champions League for the longest period this season, longer than all the other clubs, and yet they finished in Europa League. I'm happy I got the top 5 right. I predicted the top 5 right, but it's the wrong order. And Leicester, I think, was the team I least expected to finish in that Europa League, that top Europa League spot, that automatic Europa League spot, because we know 6th and 7th don't get the automatic spots. But Leicester are there and they've done really well. I think they're going to try and do the same again next season. I think they can do it again next season. I think they will go ahead and be third for quite a long period this next season and go down to fifth again. Brendan Rodgers is really, really vitalising the squad, and he needs to win the Europa League next season if he wants to get this squad in the Champions League. He needs to. So, 2 teams left. My second and first, which finished third and fourth. Did I predict them in the correct order but the wrong positions? Well, yes, I did. Chelsea, I predicted in second and finished in fourth. I think it's because of all those big name signings, Timo Werner, your Hakim Ziyech, your Kai Havertz, your Ben Chilwell, your Mendy, all those names I think would have helped. I thought was going to help you push that. I should say down 2, but it should say down 2, but it says down 1. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's been a good season for Chelsea. I think next season they can definitely go ahead and win it. If Manchester City don't get Mbappe, I think you can definitely go ahead and win it. But you're going to have to hope and pray that they don't get Mbappe. And I think you can get Harry Kane. If you get Harry Kane, you can definitely imagine that. Timo Werner, Harry Kane up front. That partnership would be beautiful. Timo Werner, I think, had a bit of an off season. And, it's going to be a good season. Okay, it's going to be next season. And last but not least, the team I wanted to take it all home, but didn't. Liverpool. Now, Liverpool had a very bad season, in my opinion. You barely just scraped third. It took you effort to get to that third. You were flying 8th, 9th. You weren't even going to get Europe next season. You looked to be in the Europa League at one point with Juventus. But you did very well and you were back in the Champions League as well as Juventus. And, I hope you're going to do very well next season. I hope you get second next season. I think you can get a second next season if you just do the correct signings. And that is all, everybody. It's been a very, very pleasurable thing. I hope that you all have enjoyed, and I shall see you all soon.